Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Christy Olsen, Managing Partner at Cadence SEO. Christy, thank you so much for taking out time. Excited to have you today and, excited to talk about cold outreach today.
I'm glad to be here.
Christy, before, we start and dive deep into the questions, it would be great if you could introduce yourself and your company for our viewers.
Yeah, I'm Christy Olsen. I'm one of the managing partners at Cadence SEO. The other partner is Kevin McLaughlin, who is also my husband. Yes, we have different last names on purpose. We started this company about 2 years ago. Built it almost exclusively to start on cold outbound email marketing, and have built up a rather successful, fun place to work. And I love to talk about how we made it work, take questions from other people who might be trying to make something work and the pitfalls to avoid, like how we got our very first ever outbound email domain completely spam blocked, couldn't even load our website, things like that. Don't make those mistakes.
Well, you have done a wonderful job, and the growth has been amazing. And you also have you have a remote team concept. So, and obviously, like with COVID and all of that, like how do you, like make sure that your remote team, is still kind of feeling a part of you and is having the fun. Obviously, like not the details, but at least some insight.
For our remote team, we are always on Slack. That's basically our office. We have all different channels. Of course, we have the typical ones you'd expect for the SEO team, for each client. We also have the company meme chat where people can share funny memes if they want. We have just the fun chat where you can go in and share stuff. We always try to recognize birthdays, holidays, etc. And then about every 3 months, we try for every month, but doesn't always work out. Works out to more like every 2 to 3 months, we do a Zoom call with everyone in the company, which can be tricky because we're dealing with all different time zones. So we usually hold it where it's early and very late simultaneously for a couple of teams, but we try to make it the most convenient possible. I think the biggest key to remote teams is high communication and a lot of grace, because somebody might not see your question until the next day. Yeah. And you have to be patient if you're dealing with somebody who's maybe sleeping when you're sending them that question or whatever. So we keep really high communication. I like to tell everybody, it's while we love what we do and we work really hard, it's only marketing. Nobody's going to die. So tone it down, take a deep breath. Taking an extra 3 hours is not going to kill you.
And that's a great point, because I think the main problem a lot of people, employees, during COVID was that they were kind of complaining that initially they loved working from home, but like there was a time where they felt that their bosses didn't realize that they also have a family. There's also a time that they need to give to their family, and they didn't have that difference between work and office. So I think, like you made a very valid point where, somebody might be sleeping and, they can take time to get back to you. So I think respecting that kind of, is very important.
So one of not to go off course here, but one of our core values as a company, and it sounds probably a little counterintuitive, is you have to put your family first. I mean first before your job. Because if you don't put your family first, you will never give me the best anyway. I have 6 children and they come first. I quit working at 3:00 every day to go pick them up from school. And I don't care what's going on outside. I will stop that. And I expect my employees to do the same thing. There are times I might work late. Another time when the kids are in bed, they can do the same, but you have to put your family first. We work to provide for our families. That's why we work. None of us work just because we just want to go work for the heck of it. We're working, those of us that have families, for them. So I tell people, put your family first. I have one of my top employees right now. She's been with me the longest. She's actually our chief technology officer. Her dad is dying and she's missing a lot of work. And I don't care. I am not charging her for it. It's not taking her days off. This is what's most important in her life right now. And if I, as an employer, can't recognize that, she'll never give me the best of her anyway, and her work will suffer, or she'll go find another job. So it has to be that way, or else your company will fail. You have to put your people first, or they will never be able to give what they need to their clients anyway. And frankly, they'll always be looking for a better opportunity. I promise that we've never actually had anybody. No, I guess we've had one. We've only had one employee quit ever. And I know that that's because of our culture. Our culture is, please make work second, not first. So I know it's very different, but that's, I don't think there's any other way to be.
No, absolutely. Culture is important. And I think, like just having one person quit is like a great number and it speaks for itself. But, this reminded me. So I think 3-4 days back, I even like took a screenshot of it to share it with my, partners and like some friends. Adam Grant on LinkedIn had, put out a post which said, in burnout cultures, people are judged by the sacrifices they make. Hobbies, vacations, and even family time are viewed as distractions to penalize. In healthy cultures, people are judged by the commitments they keep. Interests outside work are seen as passions to celebrate. So, like, when you said that, somebody who can't like keep his family first, he's never going to be loyal to me as well. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand that.
That's okay, because then I get all the best employees.
Yeah, right. Well, you're also a maths tutor in your spare time. How do you take out time? Like with 6 kids, a company to run, you still have time for your passion as a maths tutor. I mean, tell us more about that.
Well, that's changed a little bit. So I was helping a lot of people, mainly friends' kids, with math. Most people who are really good at math are way too smart to help other people. I'm not, because I'm not that smart. And so it's just, it helps if you have a creative mind to have somebody else sit and explain things to them. So I normally will help friends' kids with their math, or if somebody's struggling and mainly algebra, to be honest. Algebra, for some reason, people, as soon as you start putting those letters in to the problems, they associate that with reading, and their brain just cannot compute it. And it's so silly. Just take something and like make it a heart. And all of a sudden you'll see these kids like, oh, okay, well, I'm not dealing with a letter anymore. And it's like their brain keeps trying to read the word. So I usually just, I don't know, it just happens and it works out. But right now I'm actually coaching 2 cross-country teams for my kids' school, which is taking up most of my after work time, but that's super fun. And I'm very passionate about running. So I have my Ironman finishers shirt on. I don't know, you make time for things you love. And my kids are involved in all of the things that I do outside of work, including running and math tutoring and everything else. So you just make time for it. I don't know, it works. Of course, I don't do other things. Like there's some things we don't do. I don't travel that much. I travel a little bit, but not a lot. But I don't care. I used to travel a lot when I was younger, and I value my family. I value everything about that. I value other people's kids. I value that. That's way more fun to me. I tell my teenagers, because I have 4 teenagers right now, that as you grow, you're going to really value just the normal everyday life stuff. I love the everyday life stuff. I love making lunches for my kids in the morning. That's important to me. And I don't care what I've got going on. I always make sure I can do that. I love picking them up from school. It's way better than when I used to live in Hawaii and, we go see waterfalls. Like, I don't care if I ever go back. I don't know. It's just, and you can see that's why I believe in our culture, putting your family first, because I think so many people miss the mark on that. They just think that life is about adventure or about making money or about, I don't know. And I think it's about making lunch for your kids in the morning. I think it's about being at their baseball game. I think that's the best thing I can ever do with my life. Not, I have to do it. It's literally the best. So, and
it's so simple and honest, and, like it's so easy to do what you're saying, but, yeah, I mean,
you have kids, so you understand.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely do. So I'm traveling tomorrow. I have a flight tomorrow, and like it's late here, so a little bit like earlier at dinner time. My daughter is 2.5. She'll be 3 in March. She just started speaking. Talks a lot, but obviously, like I've not told her that I'm traveling tomorrow. But I don't know. I mean, it feels like as if she understands I'm going, and I mean, so yeah. I mean, totally understand.
Yeah, and you'll be back and it will be okay. But I bet you'd rather be with her than wherever you're traveling to. It doesn't matter how exciting or beautiful or pretty. You'd probably rather be with her, having you heard babble on about whatever she had for breakfast.
Absolutely. And before, now, like after kids and, like earlier, you used to travel, you didn't care when your return flight was, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you would just book it on the go, like when the work would finish. But now when you're leaving home, like you already know when you're going to come back because, you want to be with them. Uh, you know,
Yeah. Well, wait till she can start running with you. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. I mean, every stage has been fun, though. Everyone's like, what's your favorite stage? I'm like, the stage my kids are in right now. But earlier it was that one.
Yeah. Well, talking about, the subject, cold email outreach. I mean, I know it works. I mean, I'm a big fan of cold email marketing. I mean, I like the challenge of cold email, right? I mean, getting your email in the inbox, getting it open, getting replies to it. And I know, like you are like very strong on cold outreach. You build, build your agency around it. And a lot of, like new agencies were trying to create a lead gen model. Obviously, SEO takes time, and obviously, AdWords and paid marketing is expensive. Cold outreach is like a very good tool where they can at least start their lead gen and start getting leads in. So, but I think data kind of becomes really critical, right? I mean, so, like your tips on like, the best sources of data for an agency who's doing cold email, like what is the right approach for it?
Well, I mean, the right approach is whatever's working for you. That's the right one. But what we do that has worked really well for
somebody
us,
who's just starting, they at least need a starting point, right?
I would say make sure that your domain extension, get a lot of them. So like we never reach out from cadenceseo.com. We don't. Even though I have a lot of safeguards in place, I'm not going to run the risk of getting my own domain spam blocked that I build my website on. So make sure you have a bunch of different domains that you can do outreach on, and know that eventually it's going to get burned anyway. It might be a year, it might be 2 years, but eventually that domain is going to get burned and you're going to have to move to a next one. So that's step one that a lot of people mess up with, because just to back up, there's a few things you got to think about. First is, can I get it to their inbox? If I don't deliver the email, it doesn't matter anything else because it never got there. Second is, are they going to open the email? And then we'll get into subject lines. Third is the actual messaging. Fourth is the follow-up. And all are very important. But if you don't get those, first two steps in there, deliverability and open rate, nothing else you do actually matters at all. You could have sent nothing. It wouldn't matter because they never saw it. So to get it delivered, you usually need to make sure we don't include any links in our first email. None at all. Not a single link, no images, nothing. It is a plain text email. That's how we ensure it gets into the inbox. Mm-hmm. You mentioned lists. Where do we get our lists? We do the mass approach. We target a lot of people. We send out more than 40,000 emails a week.
Okay.
That's a minimum, probably. That might even be a per person. We get most of our lists from Apollo. Okay. It's cheap data. It's not always perfect, but we don't care because we're not sending on our own domain. So even if we get bounces, it's not going to bounce. It's not going to bounce back. Plus, you can get unlimited contacts at Apollo for $100 a month. Now we do the higher tier so we can export more, but you could honestly start at $100 a month. Whereas if you go compare that to ZoomInfo or Discover.org, you're looking at 40,000 a year. It's not even comparable. We're testing another tool right now for outreach in LinkedIn. But I don't know if it works yet or not. So we just started. It's been in for 1 month. So I'll let you know if that actually works. But we primarily use Apollo. It's straightforward. It's low cost. It's easy to do. It's all in one. And then it's just a numbers game. Subject line. You made a point before we started recording that it doesn't really have to match necessarily. You just have to get people to open it. Yeah. We actually are pretty boring with our subject lines. We almost always use just meeting request or company name meeting. People open something that has a meeting on it. They think maybe we missed a meeting. Maybe I have a meeting. I don't know. They're going to open it.
I was about to say the same thing. So I got an email. Again, this was cold outreach from somebody trying to sell their tool. And like, you still said that, like first name meeting, right? Their subject line was like, Dawood, you missed this meeting. I mean, I don't remember the exact line, but it actually made me feel I had a meeting booked. I missed it, and I opened it, trying to read it because why would you miss a meeting, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like it's a great one.
Yeah. And if you don't get someone to open it, again, nothing else matters unless you get delivered and opened. So those two things have to happen. Messaging. People like to write books. Don't write a book. Nobody wants to read your book. They don't care. This long. This long. Can I fit it in any viewing pane without having to scroll? That's kind of the rule of thumb there. You can bold stuff to make it stand out and be very clear on what you're asking for. We're always asking for a call.
Okay.
We are very upfront with what we're asking for. We're asking for a call. I don't hide the fact that I'm trying to sell them. I don't hide that at all. I'm very upfront. I want to get the fastest way possible to a yes or a no. A no is okay too. Just tell me yes or no so I can spend my time on somebody that wants to talk to me. Most people don't respond to that first email though. Short, to the point. They open it, fine. Follow up. We have most replies to the third, fourth, or fifth follow-ups than we do the first or second.
Right.
So
how many follow-ups do you like follow as a process?
oh man, we don't ever quit. You give me a yes or a no. So our sequences usually follow someone around for about 30 to 35 days. That's an email every 1 to 3 days you'll get from us. Unless, of course, you say yes or no, right? Then you're pulled out of the sequence. If you've still not responded at all, we feed you into another sequence 30 days later.
Oh, okay.
I want you to say yes or no. And we'll try a different sequence then with different rules, maybe that aren't traditional, to see if maybe you respond to that one. But if a prospect does not give us a yes or a no, we will continue emailing them.
Right.
If you want to stop receiving emails from somebody, take note of that. Let them know. Because we always respect people that ask us to be removed from lists too. Not a problem. We don't want to waste our time on someone not interested either.
But
another trick we've learned. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, please. No. You were about to say a trick.
A trick we've learned is people like women better than men. We get almost double response rates from female names as opposed to male names. Keep them very traditional. My name does really well. Christy does well. Heather does well. Amanda does well. Kevin does terrible. Jace is the worst, by the way, just if you were wondering. People are not only more likely to book with a female, but even if they say no, they're more likely to be nice. So we almost always have female names reaching out as opposed to male names, because it's all about getting people to actually respond to you. And you might as well accept that people have bias one way or the other and work it into your favor with marketing.
Yeah. You ever tried like using an image as well with the signature? I mean, does that work well? Does it not? People care, don't care?
So it sometimes has worked nominally better, but we've also found that sometimes it can turn people away because then you have to literally analyze if you think your employee's face is going to improve or hurt their chances. And that one's a little tricky that we just don't use images, but I know other people have really successfully. We target the US market almost exclusively, and people will hyper-analyze that face and decide whether or not they want to talk to you. So we'd rather keep that out of the conversation.
Right. One thing that has worked, for us recently, again, doing an A/B test, is basically, having some like pointers under the signature. For example, helped X client reach this number, help Y client, because those lines under the signature kind of stand out. So, once he has read that small email body, like before quitting the email, like seeing those three like very good numbers, we have, like realized people still kind of say, okay, fine, like would not hurt talking to them. They have done so much for so many, maybe there might be something for us as well. So that has worked also, for us.
That seems like a really good idea. I may even try it.
Yeah,
Another thing that what we do that helps is we always do a referral, an internal referral, but people are usually nicer if they think your boss is telling them to talk to them than they are otherwise. And again, even if they say no, they're a lot nicer about their no, which is fine. The whole goal is to get to a yes or to a no as fast as possible. So we will have a referral email where it says, hey, name, please reach out to this person. I noticed this. talk to them. And then that we can have a male referring the female, which is how we get away with our male salespeople.
Right.
Because then the person who was referring them is who ends up on the call, and that's acceptable and okay and is in line with what they did the outreach on.
Right. That's fine.
But I like the idea of putting in, like, has helped so many people. Do you do that just for like clients, SEO? Do you pick link numbers in there? Like, what do you guys do?
So, again, like like for us, obviously, I would use help an agency, like scale from X to Y, right? But if I was an SEO agency targeting direct clients, I would always advise to segment your data. So if you're like, let's say in your case, you're kind of targeting B2B SaaS clients and you're targeting them only for SEO, then I think, you would talk about your traffic numbers, you'd talk about a year-on-year growth, or you'd talk about, rankings as well. If let's say, you're maybe targeting paid marketing, then it'll be more about, how much did you reduce cost per click on an average, or how much of like revenue you kind of generated and stuff like that. So I think it's always good to segment the data as well, and then like kind of change the signature numbers based on the data you're kind of targeting.
I just pinged my sales team and told them to try it, so I think that's a great idea.
Well, let me know if it works. It's worked for us.
Absolutely will. We're always, that's another thing I would add in, when you ask me what's the best one, whatever's working. Never ever think your system is perfect and can't be improved, ever. I don't care how well it's worked for you in the past. I'm always trying new things, writing different sequences, breaking my own rules to make sure those rules still hold. You should always be testing and trying. And always approach it as you really could be wrong. And somebody else, like I love everybody's advice. I want everyone's feedback. That's how you're constantly improving and can make sure you stay on top of the marketing game, because marketing isn't stagnant. What worked 10 years ago doesn't work today. So you got to stay ahead of the curve and stay humble.
Absolutely. Have you also tried, because you said that, you have such a long sequence, and absolutely makes sense. Till the time somebody is not saying to leave them alone, like why stop? But have you also tried maybe adding like text messages, like SMS, like phone messages in the sequence? Like, have you ever tried that?
So we haven't, but primarily because of our data sources, we don't have phone numbers to go with it. Also, we're targeting B2B. So the numbers we would have are typically offices. Now, we have done phone follow-up before.
Okay.
But we tried that in 2020 when everybody was at home, and it was very hard to get through to people. And it's something we talked about starting up again, but it hasn't been part of the process and working now. Years ago, I used to be director of sales at a different agency, and we always did phones as well, and it worked very well. But that was pre-remote COVID work.
Right.
You could just call the main line and usually, get through to somebody. We'd do coaching on gatekeepers, and we would add that in to the sequence. And I do strongly believe in phone calls. People like real people, and you can be more of a real person on a phone call than you can in an email.
Right. Now we're talking about, cold email marketing for agencies for lead gen. Like, what are the ideal, metrics? What do I consider a decent open rate, or is there a decent open rate? What do I consider as a decent reply rate? Are there any metrics that you follow to kind of say, okay, fine, this is working fine, or this is not working at all?
So the bare minimum would be a 20% open rate. That would be a low open rate. If they're not at least hitting that, then there's something wrong. You either have poor email addresses and they're not actually getting delivered, or there's something wrong with your subject line. You should at least have a 20% open rate. We target a 40% open rate, and anything 40% or above, we consider really good.
Right.
That's with cold data, of course.
And the reply?
But the reply rates, we really want to work with meetings. So we'd like to be able to schedule between 3 and 4% of the total numbers of meetings that we're working with. But that's of the initial. So that's not 3 to 4% of the open rates. That's of everybody.
Right.
Reply rates, those ones are a little bit harder for us because a lot of the replies that we're going to get are going to be negative. So we don't necessarily track that. A lot of people will click book a meeting because after 3 and 4 and never reply to us. So we do just look at those meeting books. In fact, most people click book a meeting and just never reply to us. So a salesperson who's doing well will be fed in between 20 and 30,000 leads a week. And out of that, be booking between 20 and 30 meetings a week. So those math numbers.
Right.
And that's ideal. That keeps their day very full. Close rate from outbound. This is something really important to know. Will always be lower than inbound. Always. You don't even know if they're looking for somebody. And you have to look at it. I'm closing deals that we reached out to last year, this year. It's not always an immediate sales cycle. Now, depending on what you're selling, obviously, but we're not selling a pair of shoes. We're selling a strategy, a commitment. Our minimum pricing starts at about $2,600 a month. We're not selling something that is a impulse buy usually. So your sales cycle is going to be longer. If occasionally we have one call closes, we happen to hit somebody at the right time, at the right moment, and we had exactly what they were looking for. But most of the time, our sales cycle is between 3 to 6 months.
Right.
And there are some, just like when we pitched you a proposal, unless you told us to stop following up, we're still following up with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think it's also about then, the discipline of, following up, not missing follow-ups and always trying to be, even if it's your 100th follow-up, you have to try to be unique, try to kind of, still, follow up very smartly, if I had to put it, the right way.
That's where everybody falls. I think that follow-up is where sales teams fall. They don't want to be annoying. I always tell everybody, just embrace the fact that you're annoying. They didn't tell you to go away, so they obviously are okay with you following up. You can usually track if they've opened it or not.
Yeah.
If they're still opening it and they're not telling you to stop, you're not being annoying. Just keep following up. And there was a study that was done years back that say on average it takes, I think it was done by Harvard. I'm going to have to look it up now, 5 times. First 5 touch points before you're going to get a positive response or to get someone to respond with sales. Well, most people stop at 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I actually got this whole career kickstarted because of my follow-up, because I was not in a great position. I was in a lead qualifying role, and I had somebody not take a call because they didn't think it was a good call. So I did the call myself. I'm like, I'm not going to drop this lead. And I ended up closing a $50,000 a month contract on that, which launched my career completely because it enabled me to break through into the next levels of my development. So I tell people that all the time. Always follow up and never take every single lead seriously. You don't know who you're talking to. Their website might look like crap. They could have $1 billion company elsewhere on a different website that you didn't know about. So treat everybody with respect, take every lead seriously, and always follow up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very funny, like 2 follow-ups that have worked very well for me, while doing all the testing. One was where it was just one line where I used, "Hey, did I lose you somewhere?" Or like something like it was funny, but it was just a one line, and I got a lot of replies to it, even if it was stop spamming us or stop emailing or whatever. But I did get replies to that. And other was where I think it was like a very sincere follow up where it was like, "Hey, I've been following up. I understand you're busy or whatever. Even like a 1 or a 2 line reply will make my day." Right. And I got a lot of replies to it. "Hey, you know what? Just call us after a month or 3 months," or, somebody would say, "Hey, we're not interested," and stuff like that. But, I still got replies. So I think, it's just that trying to follow up the right way. And, like if you're way down in the sequence, at least try to get a yes or a no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Always try to get a yes or a no. I consider a no a success too. Like whatever. I just want to know whether or not I should continue putting my resources towards you. Now, again, we use Apollo, so a lot of our follow-up is automated. So it's little resources, or else I would probably stop after 45 days if I was manually sending emails. But most people, I don't think, manually send emails anymore.
No. I think one more, one more thing I think a lot of people miss out on is, actually trying to do retargeting on this, like marketing data. You can easily, like there are so many tools available as now. Also, like, you have Switchly, you have so many tools where you can actually use, because you already have invested time and money to kind of, again, not like money, it's not that expensive, but still you have the database, you have sent out the emails, and there are a lot of people, like who have opened the email in their inbox and maybe they didn't reply. But again, like you still have those retargeting buckets that you can create and then just, like do retargeting to them. I mean, retargeting is cheap, but I mean, I've seen it actually work, at least for agencies.
Absolutely. And you want your brand in front of them as much as possible. You want to retarget people. You want to have your PPC ads going. You want to have, if they type a search, you come up. You want to be on their social. The more times they see your brand, the more likely they are to trust it. And that's why we tell people, can't just do one channel of marketing and expect to be very successful. We're an SEO company, and that is strictly what we do, but we encourage people to do other channels of marketing. And we do other channels of marketing on our own brand because we believe that. We don't just tell people what to do. We're running paid campaigns. We're doing retargeting. We're doing display. Got to do everything. You got to be everywhere your audience is.
Right. Christy, I know we are short on time. In fact, we have overshot a little bit, but, like before you go, and, before we play the rapid fire round, some insights about your best email marketing campaign ever. I'm sure there will be a lot of them, but any one campaign that kind of, stands out or that you want to discuss about.
Our core marketing campaign is very simple and to the point. It does on average have a 45% open rate, and it is the campaign that we primarily use to keep our sales teams calendars full. It is a 12-step sequence, and it is super simple and to the point. It says, hey, name was referred by my colleague to set up a time to walk through findings on your website that could be affecting its visibility in organic search. Do you have some time to connect this next week? Signature. That is it. And down below it is the referral that says, on this day at this time, so-and-so reached out and emailed and said, hey, I noticed some issues on this website, and this is all dynamically pulled in. Please reach out to name of person. I think this is their email. Set up a time to connect. And it's so simple. And then the follow-ups are very short as well. Hey, just wanted to check in and see if you were interested in setting up a call to review that. Let me know a few days that work. By email 3, we can include links that says book a time here, which is when we start getting responses, usually not early on. It is a very straightforward sequence. It works very well. Our follow-up is usually honestly annoying. We follow up 1 to 2 days until somebody responds to me, and it works well. Now, it's only going to work well. That's the piece, is getting the appointment. And everybody says, oh, if you get someone on the phone with me, I can close them. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. That's the first piece. The second piece is, the actual sales call. And the sales call has to follow through with what you said. If you said you have findings, you have to have findings, or they're just going to hang up on you. You need to be a real person. You need to be honest. If somebody asks me how I found their email, I show them. Yeah. Oh, look, it was Apollo. Yes, it was an automated email. I don't lie to people. They're already on the phone with me. Now I just need to show them I'm a real person. We can do real results, and we have real value. And, I'm never shy or hiding our behind the scenes work to get to them in the first place, because they're already talking to me.
Right.
And I think that's another key with people when they get lost on that first call, because you got to book the meeting, then you got to make the sale.
Oh yeah, I mean, I was talking to somebody today, and I could see the website. I mean, it did say they had an India office. The person I was talking to, I could easily say he was sitting out of India. I just asked an honest question that, hey, like, where in India do you guys have an office? And he's like, yeah, I don't know about an India office. I'm in, Texas. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm coming to Texas tomorrow. How about we set up a meeting? And he's like, hey, no, that's not how it works and stuff. And he just lost a
That's
very
so
good,
weird.
yeah, he lost a potential client. I mean, maybe I might have been interested in talking to them and seeing what they had to offer at least. But that just, put me off, and I was like, okay, fine. I'll come back to you if I'm interested.
That's so bizarre. You could say, I don't have an office. We're
Yeah.
based, we have employees there. We're all remote. We don't have an office. If we need to meet with clients, we go rent a space. No problem.
Right.
But
Right.
we don't have an office, and we don't tell people we have an office because we don't.
Right.
We're all
Um,
remote. And I think it works
yeah.
great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as what you're providing has value and you're not
Mm-hmm,
lying, I think everybody would respect that.
mm-hmm,
And you don't want to have clients who don't respect the honesty. But yeah, I mean,
correct.
I think that's the difference between people who succeed and people who still trying to kind of fake what they have to offer.
I agree.
Christy, in the end, I like playing a quick rapid fire round of 3 to 5 questions. Would not take much of your time. Ready?
Yep.
Describe your style in one word.
Chaotic.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
Drama.
Favorite superhero?
Superman.
One subject you would like to learn more about?
Math.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be?
Maui.
Well, Christy, thank you so much, for your time. It was fun having you. I had a blast. I did not even realize that, we kind of overshot the time, but it was lovely having you.
Thank you so much. I hope that you have a great rest of your evening, and thanks for staying up so late to talk to me. I respect that.
Thank you so much. It was fun having you. My pleasure.
All right. Bye.